literally, you have to spend money here. That's what they're trying to tell you. And
I'm surprised they haven't had like a literal tub of sharks that somebody drives over, so the whole show jumps the shark.
welcome, welcome, welcome once again to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives. I'm your host, Theo. On the line, I have the man himself, Mr. Benja. What's up?
What's up, Theo? How are you doing, my man?
Oh man, dude, I am. It's been a crazy week, man. It's been a crazy weekend. I think we're gonna touch a lot of it today. We're gonna touch a little bit, unfortunately, on the Minnesota Madness. Have a little lighter moment when we talk about the F9 trailer that came out, and then have a little debate on the Coinbase IPO before we finally finish out with the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode. In this one, Sam sidekick no more. We'll see. Suspense. So, how was your week?
Week was good, man. I'm always doing the engineering thing where you're tinkering, trying to make something better. And the past couple weeks, man, I effed up my process, but I got it back online and learned some things about how I'm just going about my day. And man, I'm telling you, my energy is super good right now.
Awesome, awesome, man. I know you liked you're about process, man. So this is good for you.
Yeah.
So this is really good. So I know it's April, so it's the fourth month of the year, and so mid part of April. So definitely hopefully you continue that process. On my side, I had the chance to go to Cleveland. Have you been to Cleveland before?
Stopped through Cleveland once, and I was surprised how brown it was. Like they say, the Cleveland Browns. The whole city is just, I mean, it's just kind of brown. I was like, wow.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. When I was there, it's kind of interesting city, man. I mean, obviously you hear a lot of negative things about Cleveland, but I was kind of impressed by it. I mean, I think there's a movie called "Things to Do in Cleveland When You're Dead." It's like not a really flattering thing to think about when you talk about Cleveland, but obviously they're known for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But so literally downtown, man, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. They literally have like the basketball, baseball, and NFL stadiums like all right there within like walking distance. So it's
Huh.
kind of like you go into the city and it's like I mean to downtown and you see all three of the stadiums like right there. You're like, oh my goodness. And plus, because they're on the water, they have like two or three casinos ready to go for you
Oh
too.
my
So it's
god.
kind of like, yeah, it's like literally you have to spend money here. That's what they're trying to tell you. And I was like, I didn't go to casinos, but I did go grab some food. But it's just really interesting. And then they have this little corridor you go down. It kind of looks like a little mini Wall Street, and it's like kind of enclosed, high buildings. But it's like literally like one block, and after that, it's all open spaces again. So it's kind of like they're trying to do some interesting things there, man.
Huh.
It's and then of course you're on the water, so it reminds me a little bit of Pittsburgh with the all the different bridges and boats and stuff like that. So it's just interesting city, man. So I mean, I didn't really do anything of interesting. I was only there for like a day, but I don't know if any listeners have been to Cleveland before. If you're from Cleveland, we'd love to get a shout out because I like the city. We'd love to go back. So definitely interesting.
Good stuff.
So with that being said, let's get into it, man. So speaking of different cities, we kind of go somber note a little bit. Unfortunately, this past week, Dewante Wright, a 20-year-old African American man, was fatally shot by police officer Kimberly Porter during a routine traffic stop, and basically during the struggle, the officer mentioned that she went to go for her taser gun instead of a taser instead of her actual gun, and shot Mr. Wright. And unfortunately, he died during that period of time. What makes this mostly heartbreaking is the fact that this is taking place in Minnesota, where literally the same time as the George Floyd murder trial. So it's definitely disheartening, especially we've seen this story over and over again, especially for Minneapolis. And so I don't know if you had any thoughts on this or or anything around what's going on there.
Well, it's people like to assume that and I'd actually gotten this when I was working in games. I was sitting down and we were talking about Obama being elected, and somebody jumped up and yelled, racism is over. And I was kind of like, the hell? And, just kind of like turned my head and was like, oh, yeah, we can talk about this later, my dude, you know. And, but, uh, when you hear these stories about racism, people assume that it's coming out of these little pockets. And when you hear about some place like Minnesota flaring up, you're like, Minnesota, what's going on there? And if you look deep into a lot of these cities, there's always stuff going on, man. And I remember I spent 3 summers in Minnesota, and it comes in different forms, but yeah, the racism is there too. So, I'm just saying, like every area you go, be be vigilant and be you know proactive about what you're you know y- for the black people, be proactive and make sure that you're building up your knowledge of the area, your understanding of your rights, and so forth, because stuff like this, it's not unique to like the places you see on TV when they talk about racism. It's all over. I don't know.
Agreed.
Go on.
Yeah, it's tough to talk about. I mean, it's just over and over again. This is juxtaposed with all the shootings that have been going on, right, since we kind of started to reopen, after COVID, and so, but really for as African American men, it's definitely disheartening to see these stories over and over again. As one who has a son, as a African American boy, just disheartening. I saw this interesting movie on Netflix. Go check it out. It was called Two Perfect Strangers. It's like a short by Van Latham from TMZ fame and some Trayvon Free and some other folks. Got a lot of producers like Sean Puffy Combs and Kara Durant. But it's basically this story, but told from a different perspective. Think of Groundhog Day. And so definitely it's kind of like the repeat of this over and over again is kind of highlighted in this short story. And it's unfortunate because it's like, why these things keep happening over and over again. And you would think they would get better as we kind of understand things, and I'm optimistic. I mean, I hate to, I know folks that think that things will never get changed and they're different. I do feel things are getting better, right? I mean, I think, if nothing else, we have language now we never had before, right? Like being woke, being triggered, right? White privilege. And so these are terms that you and I never grew up with, right? So now that you have the language, then I think when you have the right language, you have the right thought processes, and that can start to change things. So I am still kind of optimistic about things, but my concern is, I just don't want people to fall into despair because we're constantly seeing this stuff happen over and over again. And the goal would be like, how do we make changes, positive changes? And I think that's the positive thing, what we need to kind of focus in on.
Yeah, definitely on the positive tip. We have outlets like this where you and I, regular Joes, can kind of talk about this stuff, and you know, a lot of creators. We were just talking about the show on Amazon Prime last week. Them. That's a you know, it, it's an interesting show. I actually sat down and started watching it. Thanks for the recommendation on that one. Um, but yeah, we can. This is the kind of discussion that starts to seep into the artistic community. So when you start seeing new paintings, new television shows, new movies, music, etc., it'll be reflecting these things that are happening right now. So there are ways to discuss this stuff, and you should definitely expect to see the creativity coming out of it.
No, we didn't talk about this in the show notes, but it was kind of showed up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, this past week, right? And this awareness, right, of what it means to be a black man in America. And so we'll talk about that later. But I think to me that's a start, right? Because you can't change if you're not aware of the problem. So now we have aware of the problem, and then I think we're going to just constantly push to that problem changes over time. So like I said, I mean, hopefully we ending this conversation on a hopeful note, even though it's saddened by another black man losing his life. But but I think us continue to have these conversations, staying positive, staying focused on how we can make solutions. We can kind of start moving forward. So speaking of which, moving, on from, this situation to like thinking about like, the future of, you know, entertainment that makes us happy, right? I think recently the new Fast and Furious trailer F9 was released. Uh, man, spoiler alert, I loved it.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I'll jump on that in a second. Yeah, they are. I'm surprised they haven't had like a literal tub of sharks that somebody drives over, so the whole show jumps the shark. Um, Look up that phrase if you don't know what I'm talking about. But they've gone so many different places now that I don't know. Have they announced that there's a final one? I don't know.
No, this ain't gonna end, dude. Come on, let's be honest. Now
Two
they make at least $1 billion every time they release, and this could. I mean, they said we talked about a little bit that Godzilla versus Kong saved the movies.
the
This would
Monsterverse.
literally save the movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
this would literally save the movies because it will be a
Oh,
$1 billion.
when's it coming out?
I want. Oh, you asked me. I think it's definitely coming out this summer. I mean, it's been delayed, too long, so they're definitely coming out this summer. But I mean, you going right to the antics, right? I mean, what do we see in this trailer that just made you just like, sure, just like okay,
Well, I mean, it's the two black guys doing the comedic relief and you know screaming with duct tape around their necks and everything. Just it's like basically two black dudes in a space car. A car with the shuttle engine strapped to it or whatever they had going on. It's a
don't
little
make
bit.
me spit my. Don't make me spit my water out. A space car, I love it.
Look,
Two black dudes in a space car. Let's write that script.
yeah, it's a little buffoonish, I guess, but we'll have to wait till June 25th. Uh, that's the date to find out exactly how everything goes down.
Interesting, because I know Black Widow's coming out around that same time, but it's going to be at the same time on Disney Plus, right? With I think it's Premium Plus, but this is going straight to the movie theater. They're not going to even give you the opportunity to watch this on streaming. So, I mean, who would want to? I mean, so it's kind of I mean, it's a high level. I mean, dude, they got so many actors in this now. It's like I don't even know who this is about anymore. I mean, now they got this nebulous theme about family. So I guess that could be anybody, man. If you ever showed up, I think they finally got the I can't remember the character from Fat Tokyo Drift. He finally shows up, I think, in this one.
Yeah,
The one white guy. So it's like it was like Tokyo Drift was his offshoot, right? One. And be honest with you, I love the action from that one the best because I thought that was so cool with the cars. If anyone's seen Tokyo Drift, man, the drifting of the cars, man, the racing of
yeah,
that,
yeah,
man, dude, that was beautiful. And so I thought that was like the best, like kind of choreography around the drifting and all that kind of stuff. But and that's I think Han was introducing that. That's where he came up. And so
yeah.
now, spoiler alert. I mean, it's in the
And
trailers. He's
and
coming
Bow Wow's
back.
back in there too. So Bow Wow
Oh,
was
Bow was
great.
back too.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, see,
well,
dude.
he
So
was
like,
he was in Tokyo Drift. So that was like the
dude. So they're bringing back everybody, man. Everybody coming back to the cookout. Everybody. So you were ever? I mean, because I guess Helen Mirren. I thought she was just in the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff, but I guess she's coming back. Charlize Theron, I guess she's coming back. Is she still a villain now? I mean, now they got John Cena, so it's just like, dude, I'm confused. I guess we know for sure it's not going to happen. The Rock and Vin Diesel will never be in a movie together. We know that
mm.
for sure,
Oh man, drama.
man. So, anyways, we're
Wait,
both hyped about this movie.
oh,
Go ahead.
speaking of movies, don't forget, Netflix has finally gotten their wish of bringing something out in the theater just before bringing it out on their streaming service. They've been trying to do that for a while, and I guess it took the pandemic beating the hell out of theaters for them to release Army of the Dead the way they're going to. So what's going to happen is on May 14th, um, Army of the Dead is going to be available in theaters. People are going to be able to see it full screen, with all the bells and whistles in theaters. But a week later, on May 21st, it'll be out on Netflix. So that's a strategy they've been working on, and it's finally here. I don't know if you had any chance to look at that, but that's wild.
I did. It was really good. I mean, we had Pete on our podcast talking about a bonus podcast talking about Justice League. He hinted at it because it's a Zack Snyder production. Man, it looks really good. I mean, that's Zack Snyder. He's gonna make stuff look good. Now, Story wise, yeah, who knows? But looks. I mean, I'm there, man. I don't know about you. I mean, shoot,
Hey,
especially on Netflix.
it's been a full year, dog, since I've seen anything big and bombastic in the theaters. And if I come back to Army of the Dead, something crazy like that, that's a yeah, that'll get me out of my seat to go see some, Snyder Vision.
What? You going to go into the movie theaters now?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Movie theaters are back. If Ben gets out there and goes, right?
All right, I got a reputation. I'll stay home.
Oh man, so Army of the Dead. Okay, yeah, I definitely gotta check that out, man. That's I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. It's like I've been watching a lot of movies in isolation, so I think we're recording this the day night the day of the Oscars. I think they show up tonight, and there were some good movies. I mean, we don't really talk about this too much, but there's some good movies I checked out, and we'll see how they do. But it's a lot of isolation, man. It's like where's the conversation? It's not like you can go to movie theaters and see these movies and have a experience with the community. So it's kind of interesting what's going to happen with these movies in the future. Now that we're not seeing them. So anyway, so I'm excited about Army of Dead, F9. Anything else you're kind of excited about?
um, yeah, I mean, it's obviously, waiting on uh, Black Widow to come out. What is that? July or June? See, I always get my.
Oh, yeah,
I got to make a calendar of this stuff because I can't. We're back to having dates again. You know what I mean? So
I know, man.
pandemics messed me up.
Well, they messed us up too because they keep changing the dates. Black Widow should have came out like freaking a year, 18 months ago. Remember?
Yeah. Oh,
So we'll talk about a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
July 9th is no, is that it? Yeah, July 9th, 2021. So
Right, right.
that's when it's coming. So, but then I think also, like I mentioned, I think there's going to be a Disney Plus as well for the extra fee. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like I said, it's yeah, well hopefully so basically summer movies are going to get back and I think that's exciting, right? And so definitely Godzilla was a good preview of the movie theaters and what they're capable of doing, but I think, with the summer coming, the rest of these movies are going to really be hot. And so and you already saw HBO Max has already kind of committed and said, "Okay, after 2021, this experiment is over." So 2022, gotta go back to the movie theater. Sorry. So people's like, "Oh man, about $15 a month for damn HBO Max."
Pay up, sucker. Pay up.
Yeah, I know they're gonna get their money, man. So we'll see if there's gonna be a drop off on HBO Max. I doubt it though, because people are already in there. So speaking of which, so I think the big story we're gonna cover today, we're gonna get back into a kind of our little debate, conversations. The big thing that happened this week, also in addition to all this other news, was Coinbase IPO. Wow. This has been, a long time coming. And so for those that don't know, Coinbase is an exchange, a Bitcoin exchange that allows you to take your fiat, basically your cash money, change it to Bitcoin, but then all these other cryptocurrencies. So basically they are exchanging money to crypto, but more importantly, they're really tied in with the financial markets. So they actually went IPO to raise more money. And I think they initially is going to be called what they call direct listing, where they have this big IPO pop and all this stuff. It's just like one day it wasn't one minute wasn't there on the stock market, next minute was, and so it came out I think at a price around 320, and then it went up first day to like 410, and then it's dropped back down to 320 in the same day. And I think right now it's around 350 or so. But Coinbase IPO, man, this is along the lines of Bitcoin stuff we've been talking about, NFTs, Dogecoin. So what are your thoughts, man? There's a lot of stuff to unpack in here, but I don't know. Where do you want to kind of start first?
So, okay. This is one of those evolutionary steps, and we don't know if it is going to be the step that makes us say, okay, we've arrived at um, up to scale, mass market, um, everyday run of the mill crypto for everybody. We don't know if this is the step yet, but it is one of these watershed moments where, okay, if this isn't the step, it's one of the steps right next to the step. And what I mean by that is like if you look at social media, you had MySpace that kind of played around, Friendster was kind of goofing around, Um, my cousin turned me on to something called J Date, where people were. It was kind of like this little social dating community for the Jewish community. Didn't know anything about it until she told me about it. Uh,
Well, we're real quick, but we can't even go further back because I think we were roommates when
Black Planet.
Netscape hit. No, no, well, yeah, Black Planet, yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll talk
Okay.
about that later. But Netscape, remember Netscape?
Hmm.
It had popped off the first big browser. So for those that don't know, there was getting to the internet was a little bit more difficult. If unless you had
Yeah.
American Online or something like that. Netscape was the other big watershed moment for the internet. Once it made these
Oh yeah.
browsers easier to accessible, that blew up the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. But I guess I was referring to a specific, like social media networks. You had your little networks popping up here and there, and it finally became something, solid when Facebook came about, and I was like, okay, this is the one. And the reason
And once again, I think I was with you real quick. Once again, I was with you in San Diego when y'all would tell me about that. So it's kind of like that's why I'm
were we?
staying close to you, man. NFTs, Facebook, Netscape. We're gonna do something one of these days.
Wait, wait. We were talking about Facebook. I don't remember this.
Well, maybe it was MySpace, but it was around that same time where we were talking about social medias, and we were just sitting in San Diego somewhere in someone's backyard talking about this. And then I think that was when I first heard about Facebook.
I
And
th-
I can't remember. It had to be like early 2000s, but that's when I was like, okay, Facebook. Okay, let me check it out.
okay, no, you're right. You're right because wait a minute. If it was, I think we were just starting to get off MySpace and Friendster, and somebody said jump on Facebook, and the answer was why. It said because it's just better, and we didn't have the words to describe it at the time, so I think we just jumped on it, and uh, and yeah, it was just better, and that was the moment. So back to this, there have been back to the crypto and the Coinbase. There have been other exchanges and uh, little steps along the way. Most infamously was the Mount Gox, Jocks, whatever.
Gox, yeah.
Exchange, which which had roots to Magic the Gathering. You can look that story up for yourself, but people are like, "Wait a minute, how is Coinbase any different than Mount Gox?" I don't know. Maybe you could shed some light on what makes Coinbase more legitimate than all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, high level from my understanding of it is just Coinbase has relationships with the financial markets to make it more stable and secure. I mean, the challenge with Coinbase, as we always hear, is like coins get stolen, right? Bitcoin is always stolen or lost, or the crypto keys that you need to kind of assess it is always like missing. And so they put a lot of energy into making that extremely secure, right? And then the fact that it made it easy to kind of exchange, and make it clear from a transaction standpoint, that this makes, we can exchange it pretty, quickly and easily. So when I got on it, like back in 2017, I think you can only exchange it to Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum and Litecoin. Those are only three cryptos you could do. But then if you want to do all the other crazy ones, right, like Ripple or Dogecoin, which we'll talk about, you had to go to another exchange called Bittrex. So you had to take your Bitcoin from there and exchange it over to another exchange to get all these other stuff, right? So now Coinbase has obviously expanded upon that. But I think they've also built strong relationships with institutional investors, right? So basically, these big bank houses like J.P. Morgan, other folks, that's why you're seeing companies like uh, what's his name, Tesla, right? Starting to put a lot of their money in what they call their balance sheet, right, which is the cash and assets they have available into Bitcoin as a store of value because now there's an institutional, structure around it. And Coinbase did help that. They kind of over indexed. They said, okay, look, you got two options, right? Because you got the fiat money, which is already established, right, with monetary policy, and then you have the Wild Wild West, right? The Mt. Gox and people just out here just sending bitcoins, right, for whatever. And you don't know what's going on there. And that's the true model, right? I think from decentralized standpoint, that's where they're trying to get to with Bitcoin. So I think Coinbase took the middle road and said, okay, look, we can exchange it, make this happen, but we got to be beholden to things like know your customer rules, right? Things like that to in order to exchange this, right? Whereas
Mhm.
Bitcoin didn't have all that stuff. So they made it legitimized, right? And so and it was a right choice because now you're seeing more people access it and do things and so I would liken it to like let's think Mac, right? And PC, Mac makes things a lot easier to kind of use. And the simplicity of technology I think is really underrated when it comes to what makes a company valuable. And the more you can make something simple and easy for folks, the mass folks, then that's when you're going to have greater adoption. And Apple over time, even though they started out more expensive, more people love it because you just go to the Mac store, they do everything, right? And PC, it could be all over the place, right? And so or just like Android versus Apple, the iPhone.
Mhm.
Very simple, policy. So anyway, I digress in my philosophy, but I think that's kind of why Coinbase has won out. Now, there's discussions that do they really have what they call a moat? Is this something that could be sustainable long term? Because think about it, there's so many different exchanges now, right? So I'm just gonna go to exchange that doesn't charge me transaction fees as high as Coinbase. So what does Coinbase do then, right? So they got to think of all these other products, right? Can you do all the cryptocurrencies, or can I, do options against my Coinbase? Don't do that. That's gonna be crazy. But anyway, so I digress. But anyway, so that's kind of how I think about it. But I don't know, man. What are your thoughts about Coinbase, man? Long term, do you think it's gonna survive this, or be something sustainable long term?
Nas is involved, so I got to root for it. You know, your boy Nas he was one of the early investors in the whole Coinbase project, and now that it's IPO'd, he's worth a lot more. But but yeah, I don't know if anybody remembers um, Mount Gox that people always want to talk about. They lost approximately 850,000 bitcoins at one point, and that was an amount valued at more than $450 million. So basically, this old exchange lost half a billion, basically, and people were like, "What happened to it?" And the guy was like, "I don't know."
Yes.
so so 10 years removed from that fiasco, we've got Nas and company. What do I think of it? Hey man, I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna play around. I'm not gonna put my life savings in there, or anything like that. But yeah, man, this is the future. Things are happening. Things are moving. So and a lot of black people are jumping in on it. So it's gonna be scrutinized. So we'll work through it.
No, I think that's a good point. I mean, so there was a article that came out on Bloomberg actually that said that while Black Americans hold just 3.8% of the $100 trillion of wealth in the U.S., we actually hold as a community 30% of all cryptocurrency versus 70% of white investors, and that blew my mind. So one third of Black Americans own crypto. That's crazy. And so and I always think of a term, like you go into those interrogation rooms, and the interrogation guys are talking to the perpetrator, and he said, "So where were you on the night of the third?" "I was there." "Well, what'd you say there?" "Well, maybe I was there on Tuesday." "Oh, you didn't fucked up now." So I didn't feel. Oh, they didn't let the black folks in crypto, man, in stock market during Corona. They done fucked up now, man. We in here now. Cause think about it, man. I mean, I have a true story. So this is the story I kind of hinted at, but
uh,
I was literally at the airport in Atlanta, just trying to grab something to eat before I headed out to Cleveland. And this guy, he's just giving drinks, having a good time, and just a bartender. Dude, this dude was telling me about forex and Bitcoin. Yeah, man, I'm a Bitcoin trader. I'm trading right now. Like what? He gave me his card. It's literally he's teaching how to do forex trading, which is very complicated, and doing options trading and derivatives. And like, dude, that's like, how long you been doing this for? Oh, well, beginning of 2020, and just had some time on my hands. I'm like, dude, I said they didn't really messed up, man, because you got cats like him out here now. So think about it, man. The stock market is being treated by a lot of Black Americans like selling CDs on the corner. Think about it. Remember
Mm,
how folks are
mm,
always out there selling CDs on the corner
yeah,
or going to the barbershops, hustling?
yeah, yeah.
Dude, we are very enterprising people. And so now we're in the stock market and you find all these different tools and mechanisms you can do. You can teach it, you can sell options against it, you could, buy it, you could flip it, you could exchange it to Bitcoin and do that. It's like, dude, they done messed up, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can always look back to hip hop to kind of get a lot of parallels on stuff, man. And they were they didn't think people were going to do what they did with hip hop, and next thing you know, bam, it's the biggest musical phenomenon in definitely recent history. It's still been going on ever since what, late 70s.
Man, it's you're right. That's a good analogy. I mean, and then and hip hop is all about, how do we take it? And this article, and maybe we'll put in the show notes or something or in IG, but it's kind of interesting. They're kind of framing it as like, hey, the reparations conversation has been stalled out, but well, a lot of Black Americans are not waiting for that, right? They're taking advantage of the stock market. So now you have more of these what they call retail investors jumping into the stock market. And so obviously it's going to drive prices up and we all win. So it's kind of like, it's kind of, and then basic Black Americans feel like they're taking part of the wealth, gap or which we talked about. I mean, 3.8%, that's a long way to go from the $116 trillion of wealth in the US. So by investing in the stock market consistently and cryptos, which, can be very volatile, but if, we're seeing institutional investors get into it, it could be huge for us. It's kind of interesting time, man. I mean, we always say that, but I don't know, man. It does feel like we are past something interesting between this. I mean, we're just in this whole new world where everything's kind of a little bit different. This NFT stuff, trying to wrap your head around these virtual
Yeah,
currencies and the NFTs, these digital assets. It's like, dude, I mean, if people don't pay attention, man, they could really get, left behind because the world is rapidly changing how we do commerce and how we live for the future.
absolutely, man. And yeah, I kind of like the idea of getting like one hip hop head in every industry. And just, T Pain made that app that one time and blew people's minds. Nas getting into the Coinbase IPO. Dre getting into the headphone and audio hardware game. Tyler
Oh, we
Perry,
forgot the main one. Forgot the main one.
main one.
Soldier Boy, Soldier
Soldier
Boy,
Boy, Drake.
Drake.
Props to the number one dude in terms of being on the internet. Like, yeah, you want to know where I get my stuff from, man? Just follow Soldier Boy. He probably knows something you don't. Like, you remember when he was when people were getting on him for selling what he called the Soldier Boy console. You look at, dude, he was like the first guy drop shipping on that scale.
Good point.
And he's
And
like,
now everybody's trying to drop ship something.
he had a Shopify store up and was drop shipping, and people were like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "Dog, I'm telling you, y'all are looking at me and my funny accent and not trying to peep game." Of course, Soldier Boy didn't sell his game; he just sells craziness. But the kids,
Man, but I mean, but you centered around this. I mean, hip hop, man. We should just all follow hip hop because, like you just said, Nas got into crypto. I mean, these guys are really becoming like billionaires now because they've had such a dominant place in the culture, and so it's kind of like everyone kind of follows their lead and understands that. And because they get involved in these deals now, because they have, because now also, what's helping hip hop heads now, especially older ones, is nostalgia because folks like us, we remember growing up to them. We have emotional attachment to them. So not only are they winning from their music and influencing our thought processes, but now we're longing to go back, to those 20 years, 25 years ago. And so like folks like Nas, Jay-Z, Snoop are taking advantage of that nostalgia play too in
yeah,
order to get on these deals and win. I just literally saw Jaleel White. Did you know he has a cannabis company coming out?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's
Oh
called
wait,
Purple Urkel.
Purple Orgle. That's
Purple
right. I did
Urkel.
hear that.
So if you were hot 20 years ago in the black community, man, whether it was TV, music, or whatever, if you ain't connected to cannabis or NFT or Bitcoin, something wrong because you need to get paid. We're
Basically.
telling you right now. Man, I need to be a broker for these guys, man, because this is gonna blow up, man. So anyway, so are we pro for the Coinbase IPO, man? Are you pro? Are you in it? You ready to go?
Oh yeah, man. I'm in it. I'm gonna be sitting back eating my wrap snacks while I watch the money roll in through Coinbase.
Oh, real quick before we leave, Dogecoin. Did you have a thought on that?
Oh, uh, yeah. I'm watching people play around with Dogecoin like they know what they're doing. I don't think anyone knows what they're doing with terms of Dogecoin, man. That's just to seeing that dog and to the moon every couple tweets. I'm not.
Diamond hands, diamond hands.
I'll say, if you want to save yourself a trip to Vegas and just play with Dogecoin, that's fine by me. But don't be careful. Streets is crazy.
Man, and they literally tell you in the prospectus that that the white paper that this is a meme coin. It's like it does nothing. Just it's a picture of a dog. People are making real money off of this, man. I'm staying clear of that one, but more power to you, man. I mean, it's just I think people are just thinking this is a fun, game, man. So just like GameStop. So it's gonna be interesting times, dude. So yeah, speaking of interesting times, man, we'll probably talk a little bit. Was there anything else you wanted to cover on that before we move on,
Nah, the crypto circus is going to continue. That
dude?
we'll pick it up next week.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Definitely. I definitely want to talk a little bit more of some interesting things happening in NFTs. But speaking of just interesting things and wild circus, so Falcon and Winter Soldier, man, weekly updates, it's been great for content. So and they I think they delivered this week, man. It definitely was the one where I think Sam kind of came to the forefront, Sam Wilson, the Falcon. So kind of finally maybe you've earned the top name in the title. And so I'm kind of interested, man. We can kind of cover high level. Basically, Sam had opportunity to go visit with Isaiah Bradley again to kind of reconcile. Well, let me take a step back after the shocking conclusion of what happened at the end of last episode with John Walker decapitating um, one of the uh, red flag individuals. They got into a fight between Bucky himself and Sam Wilson, and it was good fight scene. And I think at the end of the fight scene, Sam was able to pick up the sword because Bucky was like, this is yours now. And then Sam had to kind of reconcile what that meant, and that meant go and see Isaiah Bradley, the previous Captain America, who was also black, and then also going home to kind of fix a boat and kind of reconcile who he was and what he wanted to become. And Bucky came to help him out with the boat situation. And then I think it was pretty much one of those episodes where it was just more about Sam just realizing who he could become, and then it kind of ended it on a promising note where he looked into a a box that was given to him by Bucky to kind of determine, and we all know it's probably gonna be the suit, right? That he's gonna wear to be the new Captain America. So anyway, high level, man, what are your thoughts about this episode? Were you inspired? Did it make you think? What are your thoughts?
So I like it, and in general, I'm one of those pro black. I'll start arguing with you about race in the streets or whatever. You know, but I always get a little weirded out when someone tries to explain a black story um in a show, especially a show like this. And I think that they did it pretty well. And it's actually written by a white guy. So, I don't know who he had with him writing this, but the the dexterity of it was pretty solid. So I was happy with what they did. They did a good generational and perspective push when they had um, the Dora Milaje, kind of representing um, the Africa versus not versus, but Africa contrast with America kind of thing. Like, hey, listen, we're over here doing our thing. Um, you've got the old school with Isaiah Bradley, the current school, or yeah, the current school with Sam Wilson, and then the new school kids, who are kind of looking at him like, well, we don't have all this bitterness, but that's just because we're young. So there's this whole little, basically a three-way kind of discussion going on about race and different perspectives. And I think they actually pulled it off without, making it turn into an after-school special, which is the thing I hate. So I don't know. How did that the whole race discussion come across to you? Because it was there. It was heavy.
Yeah. Michael, the showrunner is black, Malcolm Spellman. And I don't know if you know him, but he actually worked on the TV show Empire, and
Right.
doesn't get no blacker than that. So he
Sure.
definitely, came on board to kind of, highlight that. So when I knew he was on board, I knew they were probably gonna go more toward some of the blacker angles. And then Nate Moore, who's a producer for Marvel for years, and he kind of helped with getting the Black Panther to the screen. He's a producer on this, of course. I think with all the shows too. But so Malcolm Spellman, really helped kind of shepherd that. But you're right. I thought it was handled pretty well. I mean, on one hand, going to see the bitter old black man. Chris Rock nailed it, man. I don't know if you ever saw Chris Rock. Remember Rock's bit back in the day where he talked about that. He said,
Mhm.
"There's no one more bitter or angry than an old black man."
Yeah.
And, I think about that when Sam Wilson visited Isaiah Bradley, dude. I mean, I wrote the quote down. He said, "They will never let a black man be Captain America, and even if they did, no self-respecting black man would ever want to be." It's just like, dude, it's like he put it out there, man, on Front Street, and to be fair, the way he was treated was like shit, and so he was definitely entitled to that opinion. And I mean, unfortunately, we started this conversation about what's happening to black men, dealing with the cops here in 2021. So, to say, you represent America, right? What does that mean as a black man? And then the fact that they literally had Bucky kind of say that in so many words, at the end when they were doing their practice,
Hmm.
free throwing, free frisbee, the shield. So I thought that was, like we again we talked about this. This is about like having language, right? Having understanding, awareness, and I thought that was powerful. So I thought that was good. And I think Sam hopefully has reconciled that within himself, and we saw him starting to do flips and kicks. So I guess he's going to be, he's going to have some new moves, man.
Yeah, and this is totally setting it up for whatever they're going to do in the movies. Um, with the new Avengers, a new cast of major characters. And last time I called Sam Wilson a sidekick. In the
In
he's
his
never
own show. In his own
yeah.
show.
He's never technically been a sidekick. He's just been kind of a character that wasn't top tier, I guess. But he's never been a sidekick, and they played him as a sidekick, so that's why I said he's a sidekick in his own show. But yeah, that's it was good to see that they're setting up. Okay, he's going to be an integral part of this next series of Marvel MCU productions, theatrical productions.
Mm. Good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I never thought of it like that, but you're right. I mean, if this is about, who are the actors that are going to step it up and, take over for these icons that have already been in place, right? If, Iron Man, if he moves on, the actor who plays Iron Man, oh man, why am I drawing a blank right now? I should know this. Anyway, Tony Stark, they do a new actor for him, so they're gonna, they gotta tell it, and I think the TV show is a perfect place for this, right? Robert Downey Jr. Jeez, I just drew a blank there, but they need. I think the TV shows could be a way to kind of pass that mantle, right? Especially if these gonna go on to the day we die, right? For the next 30, 40, 100 years, then they're gonna have to
Yeah,
pass it to new actors, and so if they use the TV shows to kind of do that. I think that'd be a powerful way. And so if he's going to be the new Captain America legitimately for the movies, then I think that's powerful. So yeah, so I agree. That was kind of interesting how they set that all up. real quick, a couple of quick shout outs. I mean, there's the big spoiler thing. There was a I guess stunt casting, if you will, but basically they introduced a new character into the MCU when she visited John Walker after he basically, turned his back on the military and was like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, right? Going forward, right? Regardless of if you take away the Captain America, statue from me or the status from me. So this new actress, Julie Louis Dreyfus, she's going to be playing the Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, also known as Lady Hydra.
Mm.
So yes, so she's going to be potentially the new big bad of Marvel's TV shows, and maybe even going forward into the movie shows and movie shows, movies going forward. So it was definitely stunt casting. I mean, for those have seen Seinfeld, we all know her. She's a comedian, very funny lady. I used to watch her on this TV show called Veep on HBO. Great show. So now, I think this is where Hollywood is now, huh? You going to go
So
to the MCU, guaranteed paycheck.
basically, and another thing to watch out for is and I didn't think about this until Grace Randolph made the connection between Gary Shandling and Julia Louis Dreyfus. So that you got this one type of comedian character who's playing his role in the government, and then that era of comics moves on. Now with the new era, you bring in another comedian to kind of play this, you know, senator, representative, government type of role as well. And it's like, oh, okay, that's how the torch gets passed there. So whenever you're watching any of this Marvel stuff, just watch how the torch gets passed because they're passing along powers, roles, status, etc. In all your different lanes. So like Stark, the whole Stark industry is kind of being passed on to the Wakandans now. Um, we're not sure if Shuri is going to pick up or his sister. I'm sorry, yeah, his sister is
Mm,
going to pick up
mhm.
the Tony Stark kind of technological mantle or whatever. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of torch passing going on, and I was just like, oh yeah, the whole government angle. They actually passed it on to another comedian, which is kind of funny.
Good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I never thought of it like that too. But also, you see they're becoming more feminine, right? After not correcting for that at the beginning of the show, right? I think Scarlett Johansson's character, the Black Widow, she's gone through a lot of iterations. We kids, I didn't see Iron Man 2 when she first showed up, but she was totally different character than she was in Captain America 2, which I watched with the kids recently, and to kind of explain to them the storyline, right? Who the Bucky was and who the Falcon was, and watching that made me realize that, okay, wow, they obviously planned things for a long time, but they really didn't have a lot of good female representation, right? And so having her in there has been great. Shuri would be awesome. But also just something I read in I think in Variety, they had talked about that. Well, she could potentially be, the biggest issue with Marvel right now is they really don't have a lot of great villains, right? The only one we're really kind of know about really is Loki, right? And he's kind of like a pseudo villain, pseudo, you know, roguish type of guy, right? But so she comes in and can kind of fill that void, and more importantly, could she be kind of like the the other side of the coin, like the dark version of Nick Fury, right? Recruiting Marvel villains, right, to her own kind of Thunderbolts team, right? I think that would be kind of interesting. So she could be like the bad version of Nick Fury. Like every movie going forward, the stinger would be her recruiting bad guys, right? Versus what it was at the beginning, right, where he was recruiting good guys to be part of the Avengers. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, look, good for her, man. She's getting paid, man. Dude, I mean, if you've seen her career, man, she has literally worked for like 30 years. Some actors, man, they stay on shows and hit shows. And so it's like, just keep getting paid, man.
Yeah.
Another one, I mean, David Boreanaz, I don't know if you remember him. He was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Then he went to his own show, Angel. And then
Oh yeah,
literally
yeah.
after that, he was on Bones. And now he's on another show where he's freaking, military guy. So it's just like, dude, you have not stopped working for like the 40 years. And it's like, how's that happen? I have no idea.
Some people love it that way, man. Oh,
Well, some people are unfortunate.
quick. a quick note. I wanted to get the guy's name. Um, so the head writer, we were talking about the writer of this episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
This actual episode writer, some guy, Dalen Musan. So
Okay.
you have episode writers and then you have a head writer. It's not just like there's one writer. So you have a showrunner, head writer, producer, a lot of voices going on. So when we say, well, I said this writer was a white guy. He was just a the guy coming into episode 5 to put all the bits and pieces together. Um, but for this episode, I did not expect it to be Dalen Masan, who hasn't really done that much, but he kind of came in and seems to have knocked this one out.
No, no, definitely. It was definitely a good episode, and really gave Sam a place to kind of breathe and become his own person, and give Bucky some great advice. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, and the whole John Walker of it all. I mean, so I my prediction is wrong. I guess they did kill Battlestar. What was his name? I can't remember his name, dude. Battlestar.
Lamar the Battlestar.
Oh my God, man. So, I mean, I wish we had some bells, bells for Battlestar. You made no impression at all, but rest in peace. So, yeah, was he in the comic books? I think he was, right? I think everybody's been in the comic books.
No, Battlestar was a badass in the comic books.
Okay, jeez, man, dude, they just dumped his, it's like off screen, pretty much death. I mean, I thought literally, it's like, dude, he'll be okay. Nah, they say he's gone. So, I guess the transformation is complete for John Walker to be, a true bad guy. So they had him basically in the garage, man. I guess making his own shield. Sure.
Mhm.
You gonna go a tin shield, man, against the animanium shield, man. I don't think that's gonna work out too well.
You know, I,
So,
I didn't know what to do with that old fender from that Ford pickup. Let me turn it into a shield right quick, and yeah, this will go up against some Wakandan vibranium just fine.
oh, seriously, definitely, man. What are you thinking? And then, oh yeah, we didn't cover it, but so Baron Zemo got captured. Finally, I guess he had to pay his respects to Sokovia, and so Underdoor Malaji, they picked him up and took him over to their jail. So, like I said, these TV shows, they just throw a lot of stuff out there, a lot of seeds out there. So we know he's still in play. Dora Milaje, the whole Wakandas are really in play, but it's like, it's
Okay,
it's there.
okay, I'm kind of conflicted here because I like that they're setting up these situations, these scenarios, these characters, and this vibe, but it's not a story of closure. It's meant to hype up the big tentpole movies. So, I don't see a lot of like like Robert McKee will tell you, you got to get in there and change something, have a revelation, have somebody, change the course of the entire story progression. Make you say, "Oh my God, I don't believe that happened." And with these current Disney shows, as much as I love them, I'm trying to shake the feeling that it's just a commercial. But I mean, it's
Mhm.
comic stuff, so I can't get too mad at it. I'm just like, it's comic stuff. I love it.
Yeah, so I think the challenge is, to your point, these TV shows are becoming more like a hub, and like all these ideas are just sprinting off of it, right? And you don't know what thread they're gonna pull from. Whereas like the movies, when they started them, they took a episodic TV. That's what the innovation was, but they were more like serial, right? Nature was like a snake, right? Uh at the end of each one, like I think at the end of Iron Man, the whole introduction of the Avengers got started, right? And so
Right?
we followed that train. So it was like it was pretty clear. It wasn't like, okay, oh, by the way, here's the Adventures and here's that. Now, to be fair, I think they started to kind of start spoken off when Captain America, the first Avenger, when Bucky was introduced, you knew he was gonna, spoiler alert, he died, doing, and he was gonna come back, right, as a Winter Soldier. But that was only spoke. After that, Captain America, got frozen in ice, and then he resurrected back into present day. So every story was just kind of serial nature. But now these TV shows, to your point, they're like leaving off these characters. Like Wanda in the Vision, right? So now you got the Vision's out there. The White Vision's doing his thing. Hope he's staying away from the Capitol, but he's out there doing his thing. The White Vision,
Yeah.
and so then you have Wanda, practicing with Stephen Strange, trying to get so it's like all these little things splintered off. It's like, I, are we going to even remember what happened and try to reconcile, like, why is Wanda here with Stephen Strange? I mean, it's kind of like, to your point, it's a lot of threads out there, man. It's like, is it going to be exhausting or is it going to be invigorating? I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm confident in them. As I've said before, this is the evolution of storytelling, and we're watching it firsthand. Um, I mean, our concept of spoilers is just incredibly broken now. No one cares about half the stuff that they say anymore. It's just like, yeah, dude, all right, whatever. I'll go watch it for myself, or I won't, or just tell me the ending right now. It's like, what? Yeah. So I'm trying to make something out of it. It's just it's weird. It's weird,
Yeah.
and I like it. I'm in for it. It's just new, so I don't know. Maybe that's the old man in me, kind of like it's not the way I expected it to be.
Nah, I agree, man. Definitely. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, we look, it's giving us content for the last what 3 4 months. So keep it going, Disney Plus. We love you.
Well, let me ask you this: did you like Falcon as a character before this series?
Nah, not really. There was nothing
Yeah.
there, man. There was nothing there. And I watched it. I even watched the with the kids. Dude, he was so nothing character. It's not even funny, man. He basically they introduced him. I don't know if you've watched the Winter Soldier, Captain America 2 Winter Soldier. They
Okay.
introduced him in the first scene. He's running by himself. So, but the thing about Marvel, man, the thing they do is pretty good. The callback stuff.
Hmm.
So I didn't know when he comes back. Spoiler alert, but Infinity Endgame, or yeah, Avengers Endgame, when Captain America's by himself and he's about to pass out and shield is cracked, and then he hears when everybody starts coming back from the blip, he hears Sam say, "On your
On
left."
your left.
That's a
Yep.
yeah, I didn't know that. That was a reference to the first time they met, because basically he's a slowpoke and Captain America's basically running, 2 minute miles out there. So anyway, so that's how they introduce him, right? Basically you just, and he even says it in so many words. He says, "I do everything he says, but slower." I'm like, dude, is that how you introduce yourself as a character? It's just like,
Yeah.
why did I care about you? So it's kind of like, I mean, luckily the actor, Calvin Mackey, he's such a charismatic guy that he's able to bring something to it. But dude, if they had the wrong actor in that role, man, you could literally forget he's on screen. So,
Basically.
well, no, well, you tell me now. You ask me. So, do we care about him now after they introduce more stuff to him about him?
Um, we care about him. Of course. Well, yeah, we definitely care about him more. Um, but I feel like I don't know what they're going to do with the final episode, and if they're going to have Falcon with a shield. We've seen that before in the comics a few times, where Falcon's flying around with the shield, which is a constant reminder of, you know, you're you're not yourself. Your own character wasn't good enough. You have to take on this mantle from some other guy. Um, so do I think he's as interesting? I don't think he can be until he drops the shield, and I don't know if the story's going to allow for that. So
Mm, wow, that's deep. So you're saying they're setting them up to have the shield, but just the fact that you have to take the shield to make you interesting,
so
makes you lose
yeah,
your
because
characters nothing anyway.
so first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, they started railing off gunshots at him, and he used his wings to shield himself, and I was like, there you go. Once we start building off of this, we can have somebody who's like Captain America, or can take the name of or the mantle of Captain America, but maybe not have the shield. They've tied it so into that actual shield that you can't let go of
Yeah.
Steve Rogers. And that's so even if I get like Wakandan wings and all this stuff, if I'm still flying around with the shield, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't. I don't think I needed the shield at this point, but now I have it. So, and this gets back to that whole argument that he had with discussion that he had with Isaiah Bradley. Do you want to wear the stars and stripes? And it's like, no self-respecting. I'm kind of old man Isaiah Bradley. I'm like, hey man, no self-respecting black superhero would suit up and start wearing Captain America clothing. Um, it- not because it's Captain America, but because you're coming behind Steve Rogers in the way that you are, in the MCU universe. So I don't know. I really want to see him add something new to it. I don't know how strong it'll be. I don't think it'll be that strong.
Nah, good point. I mean, especially if what's he bringing to it that's unique? I mean, his humanity. Obviously, he's basically gonna be a regular guy. I mean, I think he's never. They already set the premise that he's probably never gonna take that secrets that serum, right? So he's always gonna be at a disadvantage, right? So if you're at disadvantage to that level, what do you bring to the game, right? So the thing about Captain America that they always kind of hinted at, right? But they didn't really do it in MCU. But when you watch, like, when you read the comic books and then some of the TV shows, the cartoon TV shows, they always hinted at, like, he's just such a master strategist, right? He's always thinking like 5 steps ahead of you, right? Because even though he's strong
Mhm.
and all this other stuff, he's really trying to be, the most efficient soldier he can be, right? And so, because like they had I always thought this the perfect it was a TV show about Spider, one of the many Spider-Man TV shows, and Captain America showed up, right? And here's Spider-Man, just winging it like he always does. I'm just gonna help some people, wee, right? Doing this thing, and Captain America's like, "What the hell are you doing, dude? Think about it. How many people here? What are you trying to say? He said, what's your objective? Blah, blah, blah. And Spider-Man's like, I'm just trying to save people. No, soldier, this is
Yeah,
what you do. So the thing of that set him
yeah,
apart beyond just his he was always, thinking ahead and trying to figure out the best way to kind of solve something. So, what is Sam bringing if he doesn't have the power, right? He has a shield, sure, but what else is he bringing to the table? I mean, I don't know if he's a strategic thinker like that. I mean, his humanity, because he cares for people and he can look through your soul and tell you what you want to hear. I guess I don't know, man. It's just like you're right. It's like what is that one thing that we can take from him that we can say, okay,
yeah,
this is why he's the best at what he does.
yeah, exactly. And you totally nailed it with Steve Rogers and the stuff that they put out in the comic books on how he leads and pushes the group. That's kind of lost in the movies. If you remember that one scene from Avengers when they were in the aliens were coming from the sky and they're like, "What do we do? What do we do?" And Steve started barking out orders. He's like, "Hawkeye, get over there, do this. Hulk, blah blah blah." That was that one scene. And will they bring that to Sam? I don't know. On the other hand, he's also kind of technologically inferior to Tony Stark. So, he's like the new flying guy, and it's like you've already got Don Cheadle to compare with, who's got the Iron Man suit, and your suit's not as comparable. I don't know what the Wakandan wings are going to do, so they may beef him up to some crazy archangel level. But we'll see.
Archangel.
Yeah,
Shooting
remember,
spikes at people. Ah, I'm gonna kill you with my wings. Ah.
oh my God, I got 7 blades in my heart. How'd that happen? Wings, bitch.
I
Yeah,
mean, when we watch, I mean, it's kind of cool, like the way they set him up. Like when he jumps off like the carrier in Captain America, Winter Soldier, and then stuff that he did here at the first episode. There's some cool, aesthetics to that, right? It's beautiful to watch when you just jump
yeah.
out and turn the wings on and stuff like that. But it's not really, sure. I mean, I mean, anybody can kind of do that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see him do stuff that Tony Stark can't do. Do stuff that
Mm.
Steve Rogers can't do. If there are a crowd of people, and they're getting shot at and everything, all of a sudden he swoops down with his wings and like blocks all the bullet fire. In my head, I'm like, hmm, would Tony Stark have been able to stop all those bullets like that? I don't know. All I know is that
Man,
I see. I should
you
write
hit
these
you
books.
dude, you hit the nail on the head, man. Because now I'm thinking of all the different characters, and you're right. There's one thing they do that no one else can do, right? That we know what the Winter Soldier, he's capable of killing folks, right? So we already know that. So if killing need to be done, you call a Winter Soldier, right? So he's going to battle it, right? But we always know that he's capable of doing that without hesitation. What's her name is Scarlet.
Scarlet
It's
Witch.
Johansson, but no. Well,
Oh,
Scarlet Witch, she's a magician. She's a witch. She can do all kinds of crazy stuff with reality. Everybody has a place. You're right. It's like they got this one thing that no one else can do, right? And it's like, okay, Sam Wilson, what can you do? And that's the challenge when you bring in, diversity for diversity's sake. Because to be fair, the comic books did that, right, with some of these characters, right? They didn't really make them unique enough. But I think they probably have. I just haven't read too many Sam Wilson storylines or War Machine storylines. But I don't get a sense that they have a unique, interesting place in the MCU that makes them stand out. Say, okay, if we gotta do this thing, who's the only one that can help us do this thing, right? And so we know what Black Widow can do, right? She's a super spy. She keeps secrets, right? She knows how to get around things, right? We know Captain America is the leader. Iron Man is this guy. Thor, he's got all the magic and he's got the strength. Hulk, he's gonna blow up everything, right? So it's kind of like you're right. It's like where is he gonna fit into this MCU as a new Captain America? So wow, this is man. I didn't mean to spend on this long on it, but I think we hinted on what the problem could be potentially with this. So I don't know. It's interesting.
yeah, we'll see, man. And yeah, we got the armor. What do they call it? Armor Wars?
Mhm.
Don Cheadle's show coming up, and you know, we've obviously got to see something else from the Wakandan and the Black Panther storyline. So it'll be interesting to see how all these players play out. I'm all for it though.
Yeah, same here, man. So, well, hey, man, before we end out, anything plans for the week?
Nah, man, just gonna bang out some Coinbase, some Dogecoin trading, and lose all my money.
Yes, true story. Yeah, I got it a little too high on Coinbase IPO, so I'm down now. But look, these are unrealized loss. People don't realize you don't lose anything until you sell it. So I'm gonna hold on, man. I'm gonna hodl this Coinbase.
Nice.
So wait a minute. Let me throw a lot of buzzwords in here. I'm gonna hodl this Coinbase with this fiat currency.
Mm.
So no, but yeah, I didn't do too well. But no, man, anything else?
Nah, just hope everybody's staying strong in all this, man. We're coming out of it, so we're gonna stick with the podcast and definitely keep bringing you more. If there are any interesting angles, insights, and everything you want to bring to us, don't be afraid to contact us. Hit us up, and we'll integrate it into the podcast.
No, great. Yeah. Well, yeah, we may do some more stuff to kind of help you as your creator, thinking about like what you want to create in this new creator economy. We have a lot of insight. We both are business folks as well as individuals who understand, the nature of pop culture. And so there's things around marketing you want to hear more about, or finances, things like that. Yeah, please give us a shout out. We're definitely interested to hear what you got to say. For me, real quick, I started watching Titans, so I'm going to see if that's any good on the like you mentioned, Ben. I think you gave your thumbs up on Titans, right?
Wait, Attack on Titan?
No, 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 I'm not watching that yet. We'll talk about anime. We'll talk about anime. Give me a couple of weeks. Give me a couple of weeks. We'll
Oh,
start
oh,
talking about that.
I'm sorry, DC's Titans. Yeah.
DC Titans. Yeah, I'm starting to watch that. See if that's
Okay.
worth my time. But and then I've still been watching what's the Invincible. Interesting.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just every time someone says Titan, I think of fuck Batman.
I'm trying to get through it, man. I'm trying to get through it. So maybe we'll talk about that. And then yeah, Invincible. I've been watching that. So maybe we'll do a deep dive on it at the end of the series. Like I said, I did finally finish the whole comic book. I think I said that last week. So interesting places where it goes. So I'm trying to see how far the movie, I mean the TV series tracks. But it's kind of interesting, man. This is a voice cast that's stacked, dude. It's like everybody you ever heard about has like a role in this. I'm like, dude. I mean, who does Robert Kirkman know, man, to get these kind of actors, man? I guess maybe COVID-19, slowing down some of their funds, so they were like, well, let me go ahead and do this voice gig real quick, get a couple of ducats, man. That and commercial work, right? It's kind of like actors, man. Actors got to eat too. So seriously, we will set the list of all the different actors that are on Invincible, but literally, I guarantee everybody knows at least the top 10 names that pop up on here. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got going on. So, hey, everyone, thank you for your time. We're going to end it. Once again, as always, like and subscribe and comment at Show versus Business on Twitter, Instagram. Please continue to reach out to us as we develop more contact. If there's nothing else, we'd love to talk to you next week. Take care, Ben.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture. Please subscribe to this podcast at Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please like and subscribe to our Instagram page, Show versus Business, to get exclusive behind-the-scenes takes and upcoming episodes. Talk to you next time.
Finish him!